Hi everyone, this is Tara from Tara's Local Inspiration. This is my big brother Oscar. Oscar and I grew up in two different households because we have different moms. My dad was married to Oscar's mom before he met and married my mom. And in this video, my brother Oscar is telling his true story of how he struggled with and overcame drug addiction.
Hey, thank you for allowing us
Thank
to
you
wake
for
up
tuning
our
in.
right minds and
And
help
if
the
you want to
body.
see more inspirational
Father, let
stories
your will
like
be
this,
done, that
please click the subscribe button.
give some
Thank
true
you.
inspirational stories of my life. Speak to me, Father God. Thank you for my sister for her help, and Lord, let it be inspirational. Let it be witness to others that can be helped of this disease of addiction, Father God, and anything else, all things, Father God, come to you in Jesus' name, amen. Okay, I'm 57 years old.
And explain to me your childhood growing up. Where were you born?
I was born in Fort Worth, Texas.
To whom?
To my parents, Carol Joe Adams and Robert Adams.
How was your childhood growing up?
My childhood growing up as a child, it was fun, you know, like the average child. And I had a brother and I had a sister, and it was lots of fun. It was, you know, just being a child, growing up. My mother, I remember she bought me and my brother Batman outfits and cars, and we had the Batman suits, clothes on. You know, just it was a lot of fun. And unfortunately, my dad wasn't there that I could recall him, but my mother, she provided. She worked and she provided. She went to school at night. She worked in the kitchen, and she got her degree in nursing. And she was there. I don't know where my daddy was. But,
do you know what caused him to leave?
No, I don't. I think he was a player. I believe that he was a player, and unfortunately he didn't want to settle down, so he left my mother and me and my brother and sister.
So how did your dad leaving, do you think that affected you as a child?
Yeah, because children need their dads. They need both parents, and so he wasn't there. Then you know, unfortunately, well, he married another lady, and she had several other children. He would lie and tell us he would come to get us, and he never. A lot of times he didn't make it to my grandparents' house, who raised us. My mother's parents came and got us. They told us the truth. My mother got killed in the fire, and unfortunately,
Your mother got killed in a fire? How did your mother get killed?
She went to this club called the Grave Club back in '68, and they had a casket in front of it, and as soon as you come through the door, and people were amazed by it, and people would come from all parts of the city and town just to come to this nightclub. And she told us that evening, I never forget it, like it was yesterday. And she kissed us and told us she was going to a happy hour, and she never came back. And we begged her. I remember like it was yesterday. We begged her not to go. I was just something about that day. I didn't, especially me. I didn't want her to go. Me and my brothers and sisters, we were pulling on her, and she went. And she said she'd be back, and she never come back. And I miss my mother. I loved her. And when you have a good mother, thank God, you got to take care of your mother while she's here, because I miss my mother. If I think about it too hard, I'll start crying.
So the death of your mother, how did that affect you?
It hit me really hard, because my granddaddy explained us, it was, you know, he taught us about God. He took us over their house and put us on. He had us get on our knees and we prayed. He got on his knees too, and we said that prayer. God, may I lay me down to sleep. I pray the Lord my soul to keep. If I shall die, I will wake. I pray the Lord my soul to take. And they brought us up in the church, you know.
So after your mother passed away, who raised you and your siblings?
My grandparents raised me and my brother and sister. And they brought us up in the church, taught us about God, Jesus. And it's a good thing, and I'm glad they did. And I do still miss my mother. If I think about it too long, I'd start crying. When they play that song, Tupac, say, "Dear Mama," I may start crying. Any mama songs, they kind of get to me. So, but.
And how old were you when your mom passed?
I was 6 or 7. I think it was 6, if I stand correct. 6 or 7. I'm not sure about the year. 6 or 7, one of them. So I miss her.
So Oscar, talk to me about your teenage years. How were they?
Oh, my teenage years they were good. You know, most teenagers were, you know, playing football and basketball with our neighborhood friends, and you know, my grandparents, I want to say this here, they did the best that they could. You know, my dad never bought us those bikes. He didn't buy no bikes until we got ready to go to high school. I remember I was in the 8th grade finna go to the 9th grade, and he bought us some bikes from the pawn shop, some used bikes. And I was ready to drive me a car, and I told him that my daddy, I was gonna say riding daddy at the time, you take them bikes and shove them up your behind. But
how old were you when he bought those bikes?
I think I was 14, finna be 15, and I was in junior. I was in the 8th grade, going to the 9th the next year, and I told him he can shove him up his behind. You know, God forgive me. Yeah, that's what I was thinking at the time. And my brothers and sisters was telling me to shut up as we were sitting in the back of his Cadillac. And and I said some nasty words to him. But a couple of years later, when I moved in with him, my granddaddy sent me over there. He bought me a car. Finally, I got some hardship license, took driver's ed. And
so what made your granddad send you to live with your father?
I was disobedient. I was a bad boy. I chased girls, pulling their ponytails, and my granddad worked at that school, at the middle school, junior high school, and if he would have found out some of these things, he would have whooped my butt a little bit, because I was scared of him. He had big old arms, big old chest, and he was raised in the country. He said he used to pick cotton back in his day, and so he was smart, he was tough, and he was stern, and he didn't play. So, and one time I got caught. Me and my friend got caught in high school, or in junior high, and he said, it used to be our football coach, and he became vice principal the next year, and he said, "Hey Adams, you and Lionel, give me 5 licks to go home 5 days." So I told my friend Lionel, I said, "Man, I'm finna take these 5 licks, because I'm not finna let my granddaddy beat me for 5 days. Are you crazy?" He told me he was gonna go home for 5 days, and his mother worked in the kitchen. I don't know what he was thinking about, but I do. My granddaddy didn't play. Like James Brown said, "Papa don't take no mess." He didn't take no mess. So I tightened up. They had paddles back then. And there's big long paddles, about 3 feet long. It was fiberglass. I tightened up like Denzel Washington on Glory, and I took them 5 licks, and a little tear came in my eye. Well, my butt was burning when I went on to class. So, because I didn't want that old man, Joe Pinnacle Sr., to whoop. He probably beat me for 2 weeks. So, I was disobedient. Yes, I was.
How old were you when your grandfather sent you to live with your dad?
I believe I was 15. Yeah, I was a freshman in high school, I believe it was. Yeah.
And how was that living with your father?
He was crazy. I mean, well, he was just being a dad. He was trying to do the best he could, and he was stern, and he didn't play.
When you say crazy, what type of crazy things did he do?
He was he had that OCD disease. He was a neat freak. I remember washing my hands in the sink, and he likes to take a towel and clean up behind after you wash your hands, and he made me come back in there and clean the sink up. And I said, and other things, he was so neat. I mean, I thought my grandparents was neat, but he took it to the extreme. So I called myself calling my granddad. I said, Daddy. I said, of course we call my granddaddy Daddy because he raised us. I said, this man is crazy. He's a neat freak. He's worse than y'all. I said, I don't like him. I want to come back home. He said, nah, you stay there with your daddy. He gonna teach you some things. I said, Daddy, you taught me some things. Taught me how to change the oil in the car. He said, well, he'll teach you some more stuff. I said, he's crazy. I started crying. He said, oh, you'll be all right. Click, hung up on me. Well,
so how long did you live with your father?
I stayed with him 4 years until I graduated high school. And after that, I had an opportunity to go to the military. I had a cousin who was a recruiter. And before I finished high school, I flunked the test. Unfortunately, I regret that right to this day. There wasn't no wars going on. My cousin was a recruiter. His name was James. And he said, Oscar, just if you don't do anything, if you don't retire, just at least get your benefits. It's for your future. And me and my daddy was hustling, and he had bought me another car, and I had the curls for the girls, and the Calvin Klein jeans, had a car, had a part-time job, and was getting hustle money from the side.
When you say hustling, what type of hustling?
Now you don't want to go there. No. Well, we ain't don't specifically say what type, but it was some things that my dad was doing. We're just gonna leave it at that.
Okay, you were making good money hustling.
Yeah, but it played out eventually, and I had to get a job, and I got a job, but I still had the curls, the car, curls for the girls, and I thought I was all that in a bag of chips, or whatever you want to call it, play up and things, and but I was, just being a young teenager. Didn't have a new car, but it looked like brand new. And my dad made sure of that. So that's what's up.
Oscar, so tell me about the time when drugs came into your life. How did that come about?
It's funny that you mention that. I started out, it was fun. High school.
How did you start?
I started by indulging. I early recall that my uncle turned me on to pot, because I remember one time my uncles they was doing drugs, and we found their marijuana in my grandparents' house and told my grandparents, and we said we weren't gonna never do drugs. That's why you always say never. So we found this big old bag of weed, gave it to my grandparents, and they flushed it down the commode right in front of my uncles, Bruce and Joe. But later on, Joe turned me on, smoked a joint with me and drunk a quarter Miller with me, back when I was in, junior high, I think it was.
And was that the first time?
Yeah, I think might have been the first time. I'm not sure about that, but I remember that distinctly. We went up in the trail and rolled a joint, and we smoked a joint, and it was like, it changed my mind. It was booming. It was good. Like things came in so clear, and I was just felt high.
So hitting that first joint, it made you feel good?
It made me feel darn good. Yes, it did. It was fun. It started out fun. I was in high school, going to the house parties, going to the, after the football games, basketball games, they used to let us have the dances in the gym. Jap Jones did that. Anyway, so it started out fun, and then it became later on got in a little trouble. Then it became fun with problems. Because I was using it, got to the point I was using it, smoking marijuana and drinking almost every day. And
how old were you then?
I graduated high school, maybe 18, 19, 20, and then later on I caught a drug case back in '92, and in the '80s I didn't think I had a problem, and I was introduced to '89. I think I was introduced to freebase cocaine. I met a lady, and she introduced me to a freebase cocaine. That's smoking it in a pipe.
Okay, you say you were introduced to freebase cocaine. How did that come about now?
I met this young lady with some Daisy Dukes on in a high yellow. See, the devil's crafty. He'll bring you about somebody you've never met right into your face. And I went over there because I was just drinking some gin, some beer, smoking weed. And she said, "Here, try this." And I tried it, and I liked it because it took it to a whole nother level.
So what actually was that?
It was cocaine rocked up and put it in a pipe, and you put some fire to it. And I didn't know what it was, but it was an ultimate high. It was more extreme than marijuana. And but I got over that night, and went home. And then later on, I felt I went back to this person, and I started craving it, and then eventually, I remember I used to ride with my dad to Dallas as he go over there to doing this little hustling because he was a Muslim, and me and a girl put some in marijuana one time, but I still thought it was fun, and I didn't know I had later on in life. I was, after thought it was fun, then I became doing it every day, and I didn't know I had this disease of addiction. I thought it was just getting high and having fun. Then it got to the point years later that I was doing it every day. And
how did you support your addiction at that time?
I had at that particular time I was a work addict. I had a job, I was working, and I was paying for it through that. But when it got to the point that, years later, the disease of addiction overpowered, and I had to have it just to function. Get up in the morning and smoke a joint, hit some crack. I was doing it every day. I was doing it before 12 o'clock. It overpowered me. It's I call it the devil, evil stuff, because that becomes your God.
And how long did you struggle with that?
I just struggled with that for many years until I got tired of being sick and tired. And
what was the event? What took place for you to get tired? What happened?
Well, I got busted in '92, and I went to Cleburne, Texas, Johnson County, because my friend was supposed to have been taking this guy down there, but his car messed up. And when I took this guy down there one day and got paid, I didn't know he was selling fake drugs. I was high on marijuana and drinking. And next day I go back down there with him again. And next day they surrounded me and him in my car. And he didn't even go to the police station. Come to find out he was an informant. But I gets the time, and at the time I was getting workman's comp checks, and my own brother and sister was cashing a check, and they wouldn't even give me no money. I could have got a lawyer and beat the case. They got me for about $5 grand,
and you did prison time for that?
They gave me 5 years deferred adjudicated. So I had it transferred to Fort Worth, which is another county just about 30 some miles away.
When you say deferred adjudication, what is that?
That's it's a first time offense, and they you never been in trouble, so they kind of slap you on the wrist, so to speak. They giving you another chance. But when I transferred the paperwork from the probation office down there to Fort Worth, and they was behind on their paperwork, and by that time I was relapsed. I promised you I was gonna show up. I went up there to show up, and they said they were behind on paperwork, and it took them about a year. By the time I was doing my disease that took it over. Man, with my mind, I was back to drinking, drugging again, and they maybe another year later before they even caught up with me. By the time when they caught me, I was catching out at a catch-out place downtown Fort Worth. And
when you say catch out, what's that?
It's a temporary place. They give you work temporary for the day you'll work all day. They'll pay you cash or check however you want it. And I forget the name of it, but it was downtown. And so I turned around that one day because my granddad had given me this 70 Pontiac, and my friends were with me. Mac, he was one of them that I remember. So I trusted him. When I turned around, I seen these U.S. Marshals. They look like bull daggers, but anyway. And so when I seen the U.S. Marshal badges, I could have broken and ran, but I was so tired, I was ready to throw in the towel. I said, you know what, Oscar, let's get this behind me. No sense of running. So I said, okay. They said, call my name out. And they said, you're Oscar Adams? I said, yeah. And they said, put your hands behind your back. They read me my rights. I really don't know if they read my rights. You know what, they took me down, took me back to Jones County. I stayed in there about 10 months. I got time for that, and they sentenced me to the state jail penitentiary. That's when Governor Ann Richards was talking about, if they do the crime, lock them up. So they sent me into the state jail. It was supposed to have been just for first offenders, and come to find out, we went down there was rapists and murderers and all kinds of people down there. Kidnaps and murderers and molesters, all. But anyway, so I did me 6 months, came up for parole. They cut it off, and then they gave me, I had to do another 6 months. My friend over in another cell, he'd been to the penitentiary before. He said, I need to get a job. So I got me a job, cleaning up the floors. Next parole day, parole hearing, they let me go. And I did. And
what year was that?
That was March of '96. They released me in Huntsville, at the Huntsville unit. They let me out, gave me $50, the $100 to go, and I think it was another $100 when you go to report to a parole visit Monday, that following Monday. Friday they let us out of there, me and some other guys. And they gave us 50 or 100. I'm not sure it was 100. And they gave you the other 50 or 100 when you report that following Monday. And there I told them I was going to get a job and go to work.
After you were released, what happened?
I got me a job. Went home, reported the next morning, got me a job. God is good. I just want to say, God saved me, because I had been in a lot of fights and could have got shot, killed, stabbed, whatever, Not many fights, but I have been in a few. And I just feel like God, it's about God. His grace and mercy was sufficient for me. He saved my life, because I know a lot of guys and women that didn't make it. Mm-hmm. So through that, I got me a job.
And you were drug-free at that time?
Drug-free. And I was witnessing God, Jesus, to other people, and he blessed me with right after I got back home, my grandparents, they let me parole to the house. God opened up a door. I got me a job at the newspaper where I didn't even have commercial. I had commercial truck driving license when I went in. They took these commercial and gave me regular Class C. So God, he opened up a door, gave me a truck driving job without even commercial license. Then I asked God for a house or a place of my own. I was staying with my grandparents, didn't want to stay there. And God blessed me with a rent house. A lady that went to their church, Miss Stevenson's. She knew my grandparents, and she let me rent her little house out, her first house her husband built. For mom was a blessing, $147 a month. But it was a shotgun house, but it was beautiful. And eventually, there I go in my relapse, in my addiction again. Drinking beer, started out drinking beer. Next thing I'm smoking marijuana. The next thing I'm smoking crack, putting marijuana in the crack. And I'm off to the races again. And
how old were you at that time?
I was in my late 30s, 38, 39. I think somewhere around there. I'm not sure. And so I got tired of being sick and tired again. My disease had progressed, and I didn't even know. But I was getting too old for this crap. I figured I didn't. When I grew up, when I was a child, I didn't want to be a drug addict. Matter of fact, I wanted to started out to be a lawyer, or entertainer, or NFL football player. And here I was back in my addiction again. So one day, I had a friend of mine named Vincent Tyrone Saul. I never forget. He had went to his rehab called On the Barrio on the north side. So I went in. Let's see, what was that? I got some help. Was it 2000? I believe it was. I went there, but there was, got cleaned up, but they was acting like a cult. Like I thought I was down there in Waco and David Koresh somewhere. I said, no, y'all can have that. So I left there, relapsed again, went to the Salvation Army on the north side of Fort Worth, got some help. My disease caught up when I got out, relapsed again, went back there again, and started again, clean and sober. And until I made up my mind, I got tired and sick and tired. In 2004, I think it was, one of my grandmother's best friends. Matter of fact, he was Miss Young, and it was my friend's mother, and their mother and my grandmother were best friends. They stayed down the street from each other, and I was tired, sick and tired. I was asking her to let me cut her yard and do a flower bed. So I remember she used to smoke cigarettes, because she used to have her and my grandma send us to the corner store up there on Rosedale to get a pack of cigarettes back then with 20 cents or 15 cents a pack. So, but she had told me, this is what really got me. She had told me she had been smoke free. So my grandmother died from lung cancer, and I didn't want to go out like that. And she told me that she had been smoke free for 5 years. Mr. Lily Young, thank God for Mr. Lily Young. And she told me that, she said one of her church members had stopped smoking, but this is how she quit, because she told her, she said, Oscar, she told me to ask God to take the desire and the taste away from the cigarettes. She said that's how she did it. And she said every time you fire up one, you ask God. Miss Lily Young told me, she said every time you ask, before you light up, ask God to take the desire and taste away of those cigarettes. And she looked at me as I was sitting there. She was feeding me breakfast, and she said, she looked dead in my eyes. She said, and all that other stuff you doing too. And I took heed to that. So I started asking God, and because I was getting older and I was tired of the way I was living. My way of living was horrible. Sleeping in my car, sleeping in vacant houses, and we call them condominiums or whatever, and just no jobless, homeless, and just hanging with the wrong crowd. And my grandma used to tell me, Oscar, you need to stop hanging up there on that corner. You gonna go to jail up there on that corner, smoking them tweeds. I said, Mama, it's weed. She said, you know what I'm talking about. You gonna go to jail up there. And I went to jail up there, and I got tired of that. So I started doing what Miss Lily Young said, take desire and taste away. Every time before I drink a beer, before I smoke a joint, a cigarette. And I said, God, and I was serious about it. And so I told my friend, Anthony, he used to drink and smoke, do like I do, but he used to do crack, but he stopped, but he was still drinking. So I was staying with him partially over in Woodhaven. I said, man, you know what? I had talked to this drug counselor lady over on Lancaster. Her name is Carol. Her name is Carol too. So I went to this drug counselor. I told my friend, I said, man, I'm going to Dallas. I said, I'm going to a rehab. I said, I'm throwing in the towel. I'm all in. I said, God, he's working on me. He said, that's good, Big O. He used to call me Big O. That's good, Big O. It's a good thing. It's a good thing. I told him, I said, before he popped his beer, I said, you need to go too. And he said, he started laughing. He popped his beer and laughed at me. So with that, God, in 2006, 3 days after my birthday, I went to the drug counselor. I went down and they sent me to Dallas to a place called Homeward Bound in Dallas, Texas. It's a drug rehab, and the government, state of Texas, pays for it. And it was a 2-week deal, and I got detox 72 hours. And I heard this brother. He was talking about how he was 5 years clean. He had this 12-step program of AA, and he was a guy that looked just like me. And he was 5 years clean. He was smiling. And he was talking about kicking his knowledge out of his book. How he had, and then he was a truck driver. And that was my career, driving trucks. And he was telling me how clean and sober he had got. And I said, what? If he can do it, I can too. So I asked him to be my sponsor. And he helped me. He showed me. We went to step 5. I had to get another sponsor. But he showed me a lot of things. And I learned how to live without the use of using drugs. And what God does, he fills that void for me today. See, and a lot of people that have this disease of addiction, you know, they have things that's troubling them upstairs mentally and physically, and the only way they can solve that is God, the Creator. He's the only one, because I've tried it any of my way and it didn't work.
Did you experience any kind of withdrawals when you quit? Did you go through anything like that?
Well, yeah, kind of, sort of, first one day or two. As a matter of fact, the day that I came to that rehab in 06, I had a pack of cigarettes, and I wasn't even smoking. I was finna light one. Well, I pulled them out, and the guy asked, man, can I have one of those cigarettes, man? Can you spare one? I said, man, you know what? You can have these cigarettes. I said, I'm all in. I'm done. He said, what? I said, yep. I said, man, bro, I said, man, God, he took it away, man. He took the alcohol away. I was over my friend Anthony's house looking in the mirror crying, trying to stop smoking crack and drinking and stuff. And I was crying, and eventually he just took the taste away. That desire wasn't there. So when I got to Homeward Bound, I gave them guy the cigarettes, and that's the last time I smoked any cigarettes, even black. And God took all that away. Thank you, God. Woo! I would not be here today and tell you my testimony if it wasn't for God, because I tried it my way, my self-will, my way. It didn't work. So I know there's a God. He saved me, and he'll save anybody else who's willing to do what I did. As you know, have God to take desire and taste away. And if he can't stop then, you might need to want to work the steps. God saved me. Today I'm able to speak in front of you and let you know that I'm a grateful, recovered alcoholic addict. That's, you know, employable today. Heck, I got a car and a truck today. I got life today. When I came to my addiction over at the 24-hour club in Dallas, hell, my eyes were so twisted I couldn't even read good. And I know I'm an excellent reader. So God saved me, he'll save you.
And you've been clean for how many years?
Going on 14. 10/18/2006 was the last day that I did any drugs, cigarettes. That was, the last time I did drugs. And remember, Ladies and gentlemen, if you don't know, alcohol is drugs. And if you have a family member, and if you don't do drugs, if you don't have a family, if you have a family member that may need some help, anytime you ask them some questions about drugs and they can't look at you in your eye, they probably are. And they say, ask them, do they have a drug problem? And they can't look at you in your eye, they more than surely they have a problem. So I'm trying to help you with that. And you might need them to get them, pray for them for some help and get them some help. And just do like I seen people do at the Salvation Army, and them ladies and my wives and them husbands, they used to drop them off with their suitcase and kick them on out the car. Children be crying, and they said, God, get out. You go get clean. And alcohol is a drug. And that's the only way they go, if they're seeking help, want to get help. Sometimes you just gotta, let them go. And some people, you can't save people who don't want to be saved. But if they're robbing and stealing from you and lying and doing all that other stuff, them people are the ones who have problems. That disease got them.
So what would you tell a family member who has another family member that's struggling with drugs? What would you advise them to do to help that person?
First of all, I would advise them to pray to God. Let God lead you. Let His will be done first. And ask them, can you get them some help? Now, and I'll tell them they need some help. And if they're staying with you and they stealing and lying from you, you may need to put them out. Like my granddaddy put me out in the winter's storm one time. You know what? That woke my butt up. That last time, whoo! That woke me. I called on the God of my understanding, and that which is Jesus, how I call him, and get some help. So, you can encourage them if they want to get some help. Sometimes they're in denial, but if they're not paying their bills, not going to work, they're not taking care of their responsibilities, them the ones might need that. They staying with you, and they supposed to pay you, $300, $400 a month, and they're not paying stuff like that. Those lies, they catch up with you. And most parents know when their children are lying to them. I don't care if it's a nephew or a niece. They can't look at you in the eye, and they look you in the eye, their eyes are dilated, their eyes buck. If they buck like this, that means 9 times out of 10, they have a problem, and you better get them some help. They'll rob you blind up in there. And they'll take advantage of you poor ladies, because y'all so loving and so kind. Y'all think you're grown babies. Oh, my baby. Yeah, and guess what? And your baby done took your car, and you might not see that car again. And take your money, your purse. I've heard a lot of stories. One time my friend stole his mother medication. Took her car and the medication in the purse. And I ain't seen her no more. And that she had heart medicine. So don't tell me what an addicted person will do, because they'll do it. Especially that heroin. There's nothing to play with. But all drugs are bad. So I just want to say that. Get some help. Get them some help. There's a God.
Okay, so what would you tell someone, Oscar, that's in their addiction and they want to be free from it? What would you advise them to do?
If they're in their addictions and want to get some help, they should seek help, because most major cities have rehab centers. So the first thing they need to do is get detoxed. Get that poison, drugs, and
when
alcohol.
you say detox, what do you mean? What
that means? You mean you purifying yourself out of the drugs out of your system. I mean, it takes 72 hours to get drug free most of the time, and that's like, so you're gonna have to. They're gonna give.
Is that just quitting cold turkey?
Quitting cold turkey might kill, but quitting cold turkey, that's the main thing. You want to quit. But they gonna give you some most rehabs will give you I forgot what they call it, little pills and stuff, and some of them may not need those pills. I forget what you call it, and but you want to get the drugs out of your system. drink a lot of water, fluids, eat some meals, and take your bath, shave, and do what you need to do. But you just stay. And when you get clean, you trust God, clean house, help others. And what you do is, you don't go back to those old people, places, and things. You don't ever have to go back to those neighborhoods. You don't ever have to go back to that spot. Once you get clean and detox free, and if you're like me, best to do is get a sponsor. A sponsor is somebody who used to be an addict, has worked the steps and recovered from drugs and alcohol. Well, alcohol is a drug, and they don't use it anymore. They had a spiritual awakening as a result of working the 12 steps, and they're drug free. That's a sponsor, somebody who's going to help you get the way show you how to get clean by working the 12 steps, and they are drug free. They had a spiritual awakening as a result from God, and they are drug free, and they're going to help you. That's what a sponsor is.
So Oscar, how has your life been now since you've been drug free?
Woo! Thank God, my life has gotten better. I don't have to think about it anymore. I don't crave it. Thank God. God's taking away the craving, but I do go to, because I told God in my prayer that I would help His children get off drugs and alcohol. So He called me on it. So I go to a meeting once a week. I go to NARAA once a week and try to help the newcomer. So what God does for me is He removes that obsession up there in the mind. That's that monster, that obsession. Because you hit that first drink or that first narcotic, you off to the races. That cycle of motion starts, and you can't call a drug addict can't call their numbers. They may go on for years. Once they put that first one, they then got clean, and they go and put that first alcoholic drink in or that first narcotic in, that cycle of motion starts. They call it an allergy. And once they start, once is not enough and thousands never enough. So you don't want that person. They might be your husband, somebody that's trying to take care of your children, a provider. They may be your nephew, your brother, your sister, your mama, something. Get them some help. Or they got to be willing to want to get some help on their own. You can't force nobody to make them stop, but you just have to give them an ultimatum if they need to stop. And if they're in their addiction, like I know, you want to get them out of there, because you ain't gonna never have nothing if the person in there, because they're gonna lie, steal, cheat, they're dishonest. That honesty, you got to get honest with yourself. See, I had to get honest with myself. I'm not like the book says, the AA book says, I'm not like normal people. I'm not like, because we have this disease, like people have cancer. We have this disease of addiction. We can't drink a drug like normal people. Once we put it in, we can't stop at one. You know how normal people can drink one beer, one alcoholic drink. Sometimes, normal people would say, like, I had my grandmother, and they would offer her a drink of wine. She said, no, I'm good. Normal people can say, no, I'm good. I don't need you to drink today. Normal people say, well, hey, you want some of this cocaine? Normal people say, no, I'm good. And they could have just as much fun and just like everybody else. You be like, damn, is she drunk? Is she high? Normal people and moderate people, they can do it, drink and party like everybody else, and stop. They might go to jail. The judge say, your wife gonna leave them, they'll stop. But that hard user, that chronic, like me, I used to be chronic. Once I put that first drink in, all bitch, my addict, my disease mindset, I got to have more. Once is not enough and thousands never enough. And then the people who have that disease, they know who they are. So I'm trying to help you. By the love of God, I'm trying to help somebody today. Might be helping somebody's who they stay with, their parents that don't know about this disease of addictions. I'm just trying to help somebody today. I love you all. I'm trying to help you. And look, the disease don't care what color you are, how old you are, who you been with, who, what, when, and where. Disease, if you have an addiction of disease, it affects everybody. Your loved ones, who you hurt, your children. Just to look in your children and your wife or your husband's eyes, when those babies look in your eyes and say, "What's wrong with daddy?" Or "What's wrong with mama?" That something about that. And then if that still don't stop you, then you need some help. Please get some help. There used to be an old commercial back in the 70s called shit commercials that if you don't get help from me, get help somewhere.
Oscar, thank you for sharing your story with Tara's Local Inspiration.
Awesome. Thank God and thank you. My name is Oscar Jamal Adams, and this is the true inspirational story of my life. For more inspirational stories, subscribe to Tara's Local Inspiration.